We all hate the WWE now it's gone PG, or so goes the narrative anyway. Wrestling can never be good when the talent has such restrictions, and we should all bitch and moan till the cows come home, and then we should go up to these cows and whine to them as well. Whoever thought this was a good idea? Boo, and so on. Thing is though, that's not exactly true. Sure, the more leeway you have gives you more ideas you can come up with, but there's still plenty of creative endeavours to jump into that do result in good television. You know what? WWE has had loads over the last few years. They didn't need profanity or nakedness, they just needed some good old-fashioned thought and time put into them. On top of that too, it just goes to show that the PG era hasn't been that bad at all. There's plenty of examples of the creative team kicking some ass. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is 10 creative triumphs of WWE's PG era. Number 10, Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar returned to the WWE in 2012, he did get steamrolled by the creative team. Basically being punished for ever leaving in the first place, he lost to John Cena at Extreme Rules and then got whipped by Triple H. But then we started getting to the good stuff. Heating up with an amazing CM Punk match at SummerSlam 2013, things kicked into a whole new gear when he defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 and then murdered John Cena at that year's SummerSlam. It all came together to make Brock feel like the real deal, a legit fighter in the world of make-believe. Everything he did all of a sudden felt like he meant it, and his sporadic appearances actually helped his aura. His run, even up to this point, has been pretty damn spectacular when you think about it. This is all down to smart booking. I wouldn't change it for the world. Number 9, the debut of the Nexus. Noticed I used the word debut there because yeah, I know, creative went and ruined it, but still, no one can argue that the day the Nexus arrived in the WWE wasn't awesome, because it most definitely was. Disturbing, violent, and unlike anything we'd seen on WWE TV before, a bunch of pissed off rookies who felt like they'd been abused marched onto the main roster and destroyed poster boy John Cena as well as the Raw set. It felt like the ultimate act of revenge, and the sheer chaos of the whole thing was money. It showed that when the reins were loosened, the brains backstage do know what they're doing. And this angle was so hot it made WWE feel incredibly popular once more. And they ruined it, but again, that initial bang was phenomenal. Number 8, the end of an era. Although this probably wasn't the plan, I don't care, because retroactively WWE did see what was happening and adjusted to suit. Starting off with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 and ending with the Dead Man versus Triple H at Mania 28, it was 4 back-to-back matches which did shine a spotlight on 3 men who had been pivotal to WWE's success. Furthermore, each one of these fights was great, and while we can argue which was best, that's not the point. Together they served as a 4-year arc that showcased a different era of WWE talent, and if you had been a part of the story from the beginning, it was just lovely. It may have been a bit of a stretch to pretend it was just this trio who were responsible, but that's just part of the poetry. It worked. When HBK, The Game, and Taker helped each other to the back after a brutal Hell in a Cell brawl, it was proof that there's still plenty of emotion left in wrestling. Number 7, the rise and fall of DIY. This didn't even happen on the main roster, which proves that good ideas can run rampant throughout the company, and the good times and the bad times of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were as hard-hitting as they were beautiful. Initially drafted in to be job guys, their talent shone through, and before long a pairing between them elevated to the heights we all know and remember. Plus they had that awesome Cruiserweight Classic match. There was a time where they could do no wrong. This is why their breakup in 2012 was so heartbreaking. They had chemistry, they worked brilliantly together, and nobody wanted to see it. It hit you square in the face when Ciampa decided he'd had enough, and at no point did we need anything gratuitous to make this work. It was just smart storytelling that everyone could understand, and it was brilliant. Number 6, Goldberg versus Lesnar. A lot of people thought this was a stupid idea. The last time Goldberg and Lesnar had faced off was WrestleMania 20, and we all remember how that went. Well, if you don't, just know it did not go well. Surely this meant any potential rematch was doomed too. Well, not so much. Put together at Survivor Series 2016, everything leading up to this war was awesome. Goldberg, awesome. Lesnar, awesome. Heyman, awesome. It felt like something significant. It was hard to figure out how WWE would book the whole thing. Lesnar couldn't lose, but then why bring Goldberg back to do the job? Something was awry. This is why seeing Bill squash Brock in minutes was incredible, and then seeing him do the same thing at the Rumble was better still. The Master of the Spear had the former UFC man's number, and Lesnar's selling of the whole ordeal allowed you to buy in hook, line, and sinker. Finally, their 6-minute match at Mania 33 made up for any past misgivings, and when all was said and done, this was the most entertaining feud in years. Just 2 monsters kicking the crap out of each other. and there's nothing wrong with that. Number 5, Bayley versus Sasha Banks. Focusing on their rivalry in NXT as opposed to anything they've done on the main roster, Bayley and Banks' feud in 2015 set the standard as to what we could expect from women's wrestling in the WWE going forward. As well as amazing chemistry and a genuine understanding of their characters, the entire NXT fan base was happy to buy into everything these two were selling, which just allowed the emotion of the whole thing to boil over. Plus, it showed that WWE could still get a classic white meat babyface over, even in the modern day. So don't give me that crap that it's not possible. I've seen it with my own eyes. In short, this feud was able to tie into a lot of old school wrestling logic and get the most out of it today, and that really is saying something. It was just good versus evil, and good won. Who knew that still worked? Number 4, Sami Zayn in NXT. Very similar to what we just talked about, Sami Zayn's journey to the NXT title worked because it was so well thought out and crafted with the ending in mind from the start. Positioned as a nearly man from the off, Zayn was a talented figure but also a sympathetic one too. No matter how hard he tried, he could never get the proper win, and his status as a cult favourite just grew from there. Before long, couldn't help but love him. As opposed to what we see on Raw or SmackDown though, when Sami did lose, there was always a reason or purpose behind it. It added rather than took anything away, and his bond with the audience was obvious. They were behind him, no matter what happened in the ring. That's why when he did beat Neville to win the title at our Evolution, it was one of the most feel-good moments you could imagine. We'd all joined Zayn on his quest for glory, and now he had it, we could all just enjoy it a little bit more too. Number 3, the rise of The Miz. The Miz's rise has been nothing short of amazing. One of the few WWE performers that even has the trust of the writers to not need a script. There's certainly been down moments even when he captured the WWE title in 2010. When you take a step back and look at his entire career, however, more or less The Miz has always been treated perfectly. He makes you hate him, and whatever material is handed his way always just adds to that fact. He's meant to be a bad guy you want to punch. No matter what his position, he achieves that with all the skill in the world. There's an argument to be had that he's the purest heel in wrestling today, and although he may not be the best in the ring, he's a success story that a lot of other talent could learn a thing or two from, given this is still the case today, and I don't think the PG era has hurt him all that much. Number 2, CM Punk. CM Punk was just awesome as soon as he was let off the leash, starting in 2009 when he went full on heel with his straight edge gimmick. Turning his attentions to the flamboyant and troubled Jeff Hardy, Punk lambasted the man for all his issues, especially compared to himself, the epitome of cleanliness as he saw it. What made all this stick, however, was that Punk would never beat Hardy clean. For all the words and running of his mouth about being better, this simply wasn't the case and everybody knew it. It didn't hurt that the matches they had together were great too, and this came together to underline that Punk was a major talent and should be treated as one going forward. While there were plenty of ups and downs, ultimately this did happen, and when the writing team got Punk right, there was barely anything better on TV. Number 1, The Shield. It seems almost like a fluke now, but The Shield at their height were probably the best thing WWE has done in maybe a decade. Creating 3 new stars in the process, the group arrived out of nowhere at Survivor Series 2012 and kicked the schnoz out of everybody. Portrayed as a united force, it meant these strangers all of a sudden felt very dominant, simply because Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose propped the other up and drove home that each of them should be taken seriously. This was, of course, helped with good booking, especially as 6-man tags became the order of the day as they adapted to life on the main roster. It didn't hurt that they had individual traits either, so you knew who was who. Before long they had risen to the top of the card. WWE barely took one step wrong with The Shield, hence why they're still beloved now, even though it wasn't around that long. It worked, and the creative team knew how to make it work.
So that was our video. Thank you for watching. Please do feel free to click on anything happening around my head, or something terrible might happen to this dog. Is that you too sweeting me, bro? Ugh. Disgusting. That's really bad.